So that brings us to your assignments for today. So you guys are going to start working on research question number 3. Research question number 3 is all about consumers. So you are looking for the consumers in your ecosystem. Consumers are just that. They are things in your ecosystem that consume plants or they consume other consumers. So they consume producers or they consume other consumers within their ecosystem. You are going to complete the first 2 rows of your graphic organizer. I'm including my completed RQ number 3 as an example, so make sure to look at that before you get started. And while you're doing your research, please pay particular attention to the text structures of your resources. How has the author presented that information? Also, if you have not already done so for this week, go ahead and complete one read theory quiz. So this is what research question 3 looks like. Who are the consumers, and how do they obtain what they need in order to survive and reproduce? So you're going to look for the consumer in the savannas. My consumers, let me go to the next slide. So in the savannas, one of my consumers was a cheetah. There are types of consumers. There are your primary consumers and your secondary consumers. A primary consumer is someone who eats plants, is a consumer that eats plants. Your secondary consumer is going to be that hunter, the one that eats a primary consumer. So my consumer here, my first one was a cheetah. Cheetahs are a secondary consumer because they hunt for their food. They can survive on limited amounts of water for several days, which is important living in the savannas because remember, there is a dry season there. Cheetahs tend to live in open areas. That's my shelter. What adaptations help this consumer get what they need from the environment? Well, cheetahs can take 1 drink of water every 3 to 4 days. Well, that's really helpful considering that there can be a dry season there. They also are camouflaged in the tall grasses of the savannas. The next question, what does this consumer give back to the ecosystem? Well, by being a hunter, a secondary consumer, the cheetahs help provide population control for other animals, for the animals that they hunt. And then if you'll notice my last box, my text evidence, I used a book called The Challenging Lives of Cheetahs. I found my information on page 12. That was an example of a secondary consumer. My next consumer was a zebra. Well, a zebra is a primary consumer because zebras eat the grasses of the savannas. They get their nutrients and energy from the grasses. They get their water from the grasses as well, and they drink from rivers and watering holes. But the grass that they eat also contains water. Zebras tend to seek shelter under thorn trees. The adaptations that help zebras get what they need from the environment, well, they can drink up to 1 gallon of water at a time. So they can take in large amounts of water, which will then help them be able to sustain their need for water for a long period of time. Zebras give back to their ecosystem because they help to maintain the growth of vegetation of the grasses. And as they eat the grasses, that clears the way for new growth. So that is how zebras give back to their ecosystem. And again, in my text evidence, I found my information on animalinfoworld.com. So make sure that you are filling in all of your spaces. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Again, remember today you are going to complete the first 2 rows of your consumers. And then tomorrow we will start working on the second 2 rows. I hope you guys have a great day.